All right, it's time for some gobbledygook again. Uh, One thing I definitely try to reconcile is uh, what is in my mind, or actually, I could easily extrapolate my mind to the minds of almost uh, all the people in the world, because fundamentally we are the same species. And I think fundamentally almost every human, our desires are very similar. um on a macro scale, most of us want to mate, want food, want stability, want some sort of goodness, which I shall delve into very specifically later. And we want to avoid a lot of catastrophe. I think so. Uh, Therefore, the thing that I try to reconcile very often, I try very often to reconcile, is a discrepancy between what is in our mind and what is the reality. Uh, it is something terribly difficult to do because in order to fully fully observe and appreciate the reality, you must you must be able to view it from a impartial position. And how do you be truly impartial? You could only be truly impartial when you are the outsider of reality, which is actually an oxymoron. How could you be the outsider of a reality, uh, except if you buy into the simulation argument that someone created this simulation in our universe, and some higher dimensional being, some omnipotent being, could actually observe that, and hence that is the only way that you could be truly impartial and perfectly accurate to assess a reality. That is something that I can't do at all. And hence the only thing that I could do is I myself exist within the faculty of myself, inside myself. And hence I must subject to some sort of confirmation bias. I view and feel every single thing under some sort of filter, be it my eyes, my mind, all the things that I've been through. uh, Hence, that is something quite difficult to do, to reconcile what is in our mind and what is a reality. And why do I need to do so? Because uh, I think it's so unbelievably obvious that our mind uh, are fundamentally at odds with reality, particularly the reality that we have been discovering, the new reality, and the expanded, bigger reality we have been keep discovering since the advent of human civilization. Because back then, 1,000 years ago, it was obvious. The reality was your village, your tribe. But today, our reality has been expanded so much wider. We could include your country, other countries, the continents, the solar system, the universe, and so on. Uh, Therefore, um, the reason I want to reconcile our mind and reality is because it's so obvious that there are some very obvious discrepancy. It's akin to if in your room or your house you notice some sort of sound, squeaking sound. You just have the itch to investigate what's going on, and hence that's the reason, because incessantly, all the way, the discrepancy between what is in my mind and the reality is keep coming up and haunting me like a specter. um, I will start with this thing. I think fundamentally, almost every single thing we could attribute back to the thought of evolution. This very sinister program. The evolution is very ruthless, very convergent. I think lots of people agree that evolution has molded us into someone who has this extreme uh, pathological craving for good things, for survival, for food, for mating, these sort of things. And then this extreme averseness, extreme this ability to extremely despise so-called bad things. And that is why we have fundamentally we have this notion of what is good and bad. We want to seek more of the good, we want to avoid more of the bad. um, and because of these two, I think it's two sides of the same coin. Because of these two extreme simultaneous abilities, we want a lot of good things and we want to avoid every single bad thing. We are doing some sort of double damage to the reality. We are doing some sort of double damage to, at least to our assessment of reality. Because of these two simultaneous craving, we distorted our view of reality so much. Uh, One example is that, I think that maybe, for example, let's say, in order to have a good life, maybe we only need this much. Okay, maybe it's a certain amount of money, $30,000, or maybe a house, or 2 years of food, some clothing. We maybe only need this much in reality, objectively. But however, because of our distorted view, our this extreme craving for good things, we actually augmented our desire to become like that. Suddenly we need $500,000. Suddenly we need actually 3 houses. Suddenly we actually need 10 years of food storage. And this is actually quite pernicious at some level, because some people might argue that, oh, there's no such thing as too much of a good thing. I can tell you, even if you have infinite amount of food storage, infinite amount of money, those objects themselves are actually an unequivocal good things, unequivocally good things. The problem is not so much about the objective stuffs out there, it's about what is inside our mind. The moment you have 50,000, your internal mind would crave for 500,000, and your 500,000 you would crave for 5 million. That is the main problem of not paying much attention to our ability to augment our desires. Your expectations would raise higher and higher and higher. And what the hell is expectations? Obviously, there's no easy way. Expectation is something very mental, very abstract in our minds. There's no actual representation in the physical reality, so we can't really assess it. But fundamentally, expectations is something. There's this classical equation about happiness is equivalent to reality minus expectations. That is a problem. The moment you don't pay too much attention on how to, the moment you are not cognizant of human nature, the human nature of augmenting desires and expectations, your expectation will rise infinitely, will rise exponentially, and you will just become more and more miserable. And not only that, I just said that there are two sides of the same coin. Besides this really crazy, really insane, thanks to evolution, really insane craving for so-called good things, we also have this insane averseness, insane insane ability to despise so-called bad things, uncertain things, appalling things. And so we tend to avoid every single bad thing. We tend to avoid mistakes, we tend to avoid embarrassment, we tend to avoid failures, we tend to avoid uncertainties, we tend to avoid anything that might give us the mildest painful feeling, or at least anything that we thought it will be mildly painful. We tend to avoid all of that. Because of this double damage, we are doing ourselves a really, really huge. We are actually inflicting ourselves a really, really huge misery. Just now I mentioned that we want to reconcile our minds with the reality. Our mind has been so distorted. Our expectations have risen unbelievably high, and not only that, our acceptance on bad things has been reduced to almost negative. As a result, I can't fathom how could this sort of attitude, this sort of belief, how could a person like that be happy? Because fundamentally, um, because of all the two attributes I just stated, our craving for good things and our hate for bad things, we tend to seek a lot of things that are we always have this desire to short circuit the entire thing. If I were to use a metaphor, it would be like, okay, you sign up for a 50-kilometer marathon, you ended up taking a taxi. You hope for a helicopter that could immediately take you to the destination. Well, obviously, because our mind is distorted, we will think that, oh, by skipping all the pain, all the 6 hours pain of running the exact marathon, we thought that it's a good thing. We could skip all the pain, we can immediately reach the destination and gain the joy. We thought that at least our mind would delude ourselves to believe in that. And and uh, and that is a problem, because fundamentally, if you think about the real essence of the point of marathon is to struggle that fucking 6 hours very, very slowly, step by step, you run towards the destination. That is the meaning, the essential meaning of running a marathon. And likewise, I think because of a lot of this evolution pressure to seek for good things, people always want to short circuit so many things. They want to seek for lottery, they want to reach a destination quickly without any struggle. And that is also precisely the reason why during celebrations, festive seasons, or during birthdays, people like to wish you to be better next year, better next year. I always cringe. Well, when I was young, definitely I committed this sort of mistake. But recently I realized that I cringe a lot when people keep wishing another that, oh, I hope your life will be getting better next year, better next year. Fundamentally, fundamentally, this is a delusion, because first of all, let's think about the possibility of nature to become infinitely better. It's not a given, because even though we humans have this ability to reverse the entropy through technology, we could plant a lot of crops, we could build a lot of vehicles, weapons, knives, tools. Even though we could do that, but it's obvious there are so much of uncertainties in universe. Given a certain season, you would have flood and drought, all these kind of things that would really disrupt your crop yield. And and so fundamentally, it's very problematic if you have this inherent belief that things should get better every single year. So you should so fundamentally, I think it's at odds with the nature. And not only that, as I say, if you just wish things to become better every year, what you are essentially wishing is a notion that uh, every single marathon, every single race you run is getting easier and easier and shorter. That means you always have a faster taxi to become short, to make your journey less painful. I'm not sure that is what we really want, or at least that is what evolutionary pressure really wants us to want. But fundamentally, I'm not sure if you really get this so-called infinitely better life every single year. I'm not too sure you'll be happy. Just look at a person who took a taxi to finish a marathon. It is so miserable. Yeah, this is just something I try to explore. I think fundamentally it would be good if we deliberately counter the evolutionary pressure. That means we deliberately seek out bad things, so-called bad things. We always augment how bad they are, but in reality, most of them not only will not harm us and cause us death, but they will also give us a lot of lessons. Just like why you do exercise, you tear your muscles, you grow up to become stronger. So likewise, a lot of so-called bad things in life, they are just another painful marathon that if you persist in running it, you will be so much better at the end. That is the first thing. We should seek more of the bad things. And secondly, we should stop wishing things to get better every single day. That is a problem. First of all, it's fundamentally at odds with the playbook of the universe, the nature. Secondly, um, wishing things to get better is just going to raise your expectations forever. And as the equation, happiness is equivalent to reality minus expectations. If your expectation rises incessantly, you're going to be having a negative happiness forever. And that is something I think we should try to be wary about. And that's all. I will see you again. Goodbye.